Dear Diary, today I decided to see if I can beat Skyrim using only a shield as a weapon. This means that I could only do damage to enemies with the shield. Potions, armor, and spells are completely fine as long as they don't damage an enemy. I also did a fair bit of level grinding at the beginning because my point with these challenges is not to see if I can just, run through the whole story with as little conflict as possible, but rather to see if the limitation is actually a genuinely viable way to play the game. So with all of this out of the way, let's start the actual run. I made my character by imagining what Louis C.K. would look like as an orc. Why him in particular? No reason, I just found the idea for red-headed orc pretty funny. I watched a man's head get chopped off and realized that the sanitation requirements of the Empire are pretty low because they didn't even bother taking the guy's head off before they tried to chop mine too. Luckily my future nemesis saved me because I am the main character after all. I won't bore you with the intro mission too much because everyone and their mother knows this mission by now. Suffice it to say that I let Ralof kill as many people as possible at the beginning and eventually found Baby's first shield. I stole some money from dead people because they're not gonna need it anymore, attacked some Imperials, and realized that the shield bashing does no damage at the beginning. Well, not no damage, but really little damage. So I ran from the spiders, avoided the sleeping bear, and escaped Helgen in one piece. On my way to Riverwood, I activated the Warrior Stone and some bandits attacked me, but luckily my good friend Ralof helped me out. I now got a new shield that I ended up using for a really long time. Girder was more than happy to help me out, so I took all of her earthly possessions and let a wolf attack me until my block skill reached level 35. I made it to Whiterun and was asked to fetch a piece of stone that may or may not have been in the location that I was being sent to. At this point, I put the main story on hold and decided to do some of the companion's questline to get Nyara Stonearm to teach me how to hold the shield correctly. I smacked Vilkas in the face a few times and he surrendered to my superior combat skills. Farkas then asked me to beat some sense into the local blacksmith and I learned that shield bashing works for brawls too. Either way, I decided that not using a shield to attack Vilkas or while brawling with NPCs is fine because they're not really enemies since the fight doesn't end with anyone dying. So the fact that shield bashing works in these situations too was just a bonus. I let Adrian attack me while I blocked in a corner. This took me up to level 38 before I got bored and beat her into submission. I decided to get a level up and found out that I had 4 perks. I put them into 2 levels of shield wall, power bash, and quick reflexes. Now came my real test where I had to find a piece of an old axe and Farkas decided to come with me to make sure I don't cheat or something. I never understood why Farkas says to come too. But in this case I was more than happy to have him because while Power Bash is better than the base Shield Bash, it's by no means good. It's kinda like how 3 is a bigger number than 1, but it's still a pretty small number as far as numbers go. I think that makes my point, right? I found out that the quick reflexes slowdown is super buggy because it slows down time for way longer than it should. This helped me run from my problems really well, but it got annoying pretty fast, so I decided to use a console command to remove the perk. Farkas and I got what we came for, killed some more Draugr and left. Skjor had a weird twitch with his foot when they were talking about how awesome I am, and I sympathized with him because the old man was talking way too much and even I wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. I got a level up and put the perk into deflect arrows. Ayla needed me to kill a wolf in Riverwood and I got excited because I could level up my block some more. My excitement was pretty short-lived though when I realized that the wolf had chosen the wrong house because Ralof killed him before I could even get my shield out. I became a werewolf and learned that Ayla can speak really well as a wolf.
Every day knowing that you could die and having to earn your life.
And she can even teach you archery. The more you know, I suppose. I did the whole Silver Hand quest before remembering that the challenge is not to beat the companion's questline with a shield. So I went to Bleakfold's Barrow and found out that it takes 4 power bashes to kill a bandit. I let a skeever attack me until my block was in the early 50s and cut down Arvel with a sword because shield bash did not work for some reason. I made sure not to hurt him, so it's all good. He ran like a little bleep, a Draugr killed him and I killed the Draugr. Now it was time for the final fight with the head Draugr. This fight wasn't too difficult, just annoying because Shield Bash takes up a lot of stamina. I then leveled up and had 3 perks to use. I put them into Deadly Bash so that my bashes did 5 times more damage, and 2 levels of Juggernaut because I had 2 perk points to spare. I then spoke to Farengar and stole his stuff. I didn't need to, but as a wise man once said,
Larceny's in your blood.
If you think I did the Thieves Guild questline only to get a recording of Brynjolf saying that, then you're absolutely right, because that's exactly what I did. On the way, I met a man that calls himself the Fist. I wonder what he does in his free time. Ugh, yeah. On a side note, Deadly Bash is really good. Back in the main story, I fought the dragon, smacked him in the face, and claimed his soul so that I can yell at people. Shouting at the guards is fine because they're not really enemies, same for the Greybeards. Speaking of which, I yelled at them too. Oh yeah, I also avoided the frost troll on my way up. You know who I'm talking about, so I'm not gonna acknowledge his presence by showing footage of it. I now had to find a horn that belonged to someone with the last name Windcaller. Not sure what this means, but something to do with farts, I suspect. I got a level up and put it into elemental protection. The horn wasn't there, but me and you both knew that. Some cultists attacked me, but it wasn't really a problem because the guards helped me out. I spoke to Dolphin, who needed me to kill another dragon. I then sold some stuff to Lucan. I've done it in the past and I'll do it again in the future, so there's no need to mention it each time. I gave the old men their fart machine, learned a new word that I'll never use, and the old men yelled at me for some time. I fought the dragon with Dolphin and put a soul in my back pocket for later. I then went to a party to find out what those pesky elves are up to. The Talmu were not really a problem, except for the wizards who were quite annoying with their spells. I got the information that I was looking for, and Dolphin asked me to speak to yet another old man. On the way, I got attacked by an assassin. Not sure who put out the contract, but I suspect those pesky elves had something to do with it. I spoke to the old man after he finally opened his many locks. He was convinced that the world was going to end, until I told him that I'm really good at shouting at people. There was a long boring conversation between Dolphin and the old man, so I won't put you through that. I pulled out the soul that I've been saving in my back pocket, learned to become transparent, and jumped off a cliff. Cut myself because self-harm is perfectly acceptable for the challenge, not in real life. Don't do that in real life, please. I picked up some new gear, including a shield, and the old man put me through a long boring lecture that concluded in him saying that he didn't actually know anything, so I had to speak to a different old man, who then asked me to speak to an old dragon. Not sure why I was in third person the entire time, but that's what happened. Shouting at Parthenax is not against the rules for the same reason that it's okay to shout at the Greybeards or the guards. The old dove had told me that I needed to find an Elder Scroll and learn a new shout to beat Alduin. I healed a woman as part of my college application, and spoke to an orc that was in no way mean to me whatsoever. I read a book and was told that I had to visit yet another old man to decipher it. I didn't realize how much of Skyrim's main story revolves around old men asking you to do stuff. I got a letter from an alleged friend, but I didn't open it because I knew it's a trap on account of me not having any friends. I now made my way to the Drummer ruins and got through it without any major problems. The spiders were easy enough, and the spheres took more than 1 bar of stamina, but not that much more. I got a farmer shield that's better than the blade shield for some reason, but whatever, I'm not complaining. I had to fight a centurion at the end. It turned out to be way easier than I expected. A random pair of people showed up, the woman killed the guy, and I killed her, thus completing the circle of life. Blackreach was not much of an issue, but I just ran because I was bored at this point. I definitely didn't press the buttons at random to unlock the scroll, because I am a smart orc after all. Once I had the scroll, I read it at the top of the mountain and learned the super secret shout that no one else knows. The fight against Alduin was not too bad, just took a really long time because I didn't have any stamina potions. Alduin fled and I had to trap one of his lackeys to snitch on him. The Jarl refused to help me until they called a timeout on the civil war. I told Tullius and Ulfric to stop acting like babies and use their big boy words instead. They still acted like babies at the meeting. Esbern put them in their place and they agreed to put the war on hold while their superiors handled the dragon problem. Esbern told me to kill Parthenax and thus ended my association with the Blades, because if there's one thing you never do, it's kill Parthenax. You just don't do it. I trapped a dragon by yelling his name, bought some stamina potions and flew to Skoldafn with my new friend. I ran into the temple and killed the Draugr inside with no problems. Even the Draugr Overlord was pretty easy. I jumped into the portal to Sovngarde, smacked some sense into Sun, and he knew that I was the alpha in this situation. The final fight was quite easy with the stamina potions. Here's the entire fight sped up. I spoke to Sun, returned home, and successfully shield bashed my way through Skyrim. It's obviously possible to beat the game with only a shield, but is it a viable way to do all the missions in Skyrim that your heart can desire? I would say yeah, 100%. Not only is it possible, it's also a lot of fun, and I recommend that everyone should try it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and leave me a like. But most importantly, leave me a comment and let me know what kind of challenges you want to see in the future. With that being said, I'm gonna leave this off right here, and see you guys next time.